today I was asked to come along and tell you a little bit about my journey through entrepreneurship. Now, I can hardly spell the word entrepreneurship. I'm rubbish at spelling, but there's the word that everyone kind of uses, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I started out, or how I sort of came from being a student to where I am now running MadeBrave. So, first of all, is there a sort of show of hands of who's heard of MadeBrave before? Oh, good, quite a few hands there, so we're not starting off cold. So essentially that's me there with the flag. It'll all become apparent what this is all about for those who don't know what MadeBrave is. So essentially, yeah, MadeBrave is a digital creative agency, right? And what that means is we do everything that someone would need to market a product or a service, right? So my background was, when I came out of uni or college, I was very fortunate and I landed a job as a designer. And I'd never sort of really thought about the world of business and like running a business or what that might look like. So I landed a job as a designer, and I kind of just like put my head down, and for like 8 years I worked in a very, very small agency in Glasgow, just learning to design. And at the same time I learned photography, and I kind of just self-taught myself photography and kind of did the two bits hand in hand. Now 4 years ago, my wife had a wee baby. Now this is Finlay here. So when he was 2 weeks old, there's some sort of like instinct that comes out of a man, and like you beat your chest and you're like, I need to earn money, I need to do things, I need to provide. And so slap bang in the middle of a recession, so it was 2012, I literally had £1,000 in my pocket, and I thought, what a bloody good time to leave your job. And so all my friends thought, you're a bit mad, that's a bit stupid. My wife was kind of like, you sure? And I was like, no, I'm going to go for it. I like to think I was being brave, so hence the name MadeBrave. And my friend gave me a space in his crappy wee office, right? Now this was the wee office here. Oops. There we go. So you can see Finlay's wee basket there, so he was obviously at work with me that day. Now that is not a very inspiring office, is it? Like, I don't even want to look at that picture for much longer, it's horrible. But when you start a business, there's lots of different ways you can start businesses. So some people get investment, and and I'd never thought about any of that stuff. I didn't even know at this point that existed, right? I was a wee bit naive to the whole business world. But what I want to try and get to you today is there's different ways to start businesses, right? So I first of all learned a skill. So I learned how to design, how to be a photographer. When I left my job to be a freelancer, my friend said, look, I've got an office, I'll give you a desk for free for 3 months. And I went, well, that's great, and sometimes you just got to do, what you can to get started. So for the first 3 months or a wee bit longer, I was like, I'm not having meetings in there. So I used to take clients to Starbucks or Costa Coffee. That's my weekend name, by the way. And like a lot of business is about perception. So, you're not really going to inspire clients to kind of think, this guy is going to make my business look brilliant if that's what his office looks like. So I did a lot of meetings there. And at the very beginning, I was like squirreling away money that I was making, because I think when you start a business, you're like, how much is tax going to be? And, what do accountants cost? And do I need lawyers? And, what is HR and all this kind of stuff? And you don't really know what all that's going to be. So, but what I can say to you is, like, it all starts to come. And the Scottish business community are a great community that everyone helps each other out. So if any of you thinking about starting a business, don't let that side of it put you off, because that side comes, right? So what I did, I started putting money in the bank, and I was like, is that enough? I don't know. And there was a place in Glasgow, there's a place called South Block in Glasgow, and I was one of the first residents in there. It's a kind of shared office space where you can only get in if you're a creative or tech type company. And I shared a room with like 4 other people. And I took a desk, and to give you an idea, like if you take a desk in one of these kind of places, about £200 a month is kind of money you would expect to pay. And I took a desk in there, and I thought, right, okay, this is great, this looks a bit better. I'll maybe inspire some more clients to kind of like have some confidence in me. But slowly but surely I was in a room with people, and there was another guy, he was a better designer than me, and he was hating the whole business side of things. And I was enjoying the business side of it, so I said, like, why don't you work for me? And he was like, okay, that kind of works. And by the end of the year, I'd employed everyone in the room. And by the end of the second year, this space became available up the stairs in South Block. And it was massive, and I was kind of like, that cost a lot of money. But I had a gut feeling. I was like, I think I'm onto something. And I took the room, and I just made it look like what my bedroom would look like if I was single. I put my guitar on the wall. I kind of got some toys. Just made it nice. Like a lot of businesses, like forget that human beings you're putting them in a place, right? Put them in a nice place, and human beings tend to do good things and perform well, right? So I was like, I'm a creative person. I want to perform well, and this is my life, so I'm going to make this place look nice. And so within the second year, I think I had 16 employees, and I hadn't borrowed any money. I hadn't taken investment. I had no company debt. I'd worked hard. I'd been nice to people. I'd done good work, and I told people what I do. Now, if you don't come out and tell people what you do, how the hell are they going to buy it from you, right? They're not going to buy your services. So we're now on our third office move. We just turned over £1 million, again, from no investment, all organic this year. And we've got 20 plus, I think we're on 22 people at current stand. And we have a full service digital creative agency, and one of the fastest growing in Scotland. So we have kind of 3 brands that let you know what we do. So we have like MadeBrave, where we do branding and design and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of the core of the business. When I started doing it, right, because I was a photographer, I was taking pictures of everything, and I was kind of like using Facebook, putting it out, and I wasn't thinking about having that as a service. I was just putting stuff up on social media, and we started to get all these followers. And we've now got more followers than any other agency in Scotland. And then what funny thing happened was clients started coming to us and saying, how did you do that? Can you do that for us? So it's amazing when you start your business, you might not think what you end up doing is what you're going to be doing. So, a lot of people say you must have a 5-year plan. I'm a wee bit for like, let's have a little bit of a plan and let's go on gut. Because the digital landscape today changes very dramatically, very quickly. So can I have a general idea that this is my way of doing it, is like I have a general idea where I'm going, but let's let it take us when we're there as well. So we now have MadeBrave, we have Made Digital, and we have Made Social. So we now manage social media for IBM. So if you follow IBM, you're actually following MadeBrave. So, I couldn't have imagined that's what I was going to be doing just a few years ago. And then Made Digital, we now build sites and all sorts of things for people. Now, this is just a small collection of the clients I've built up over the last few years, and I mean a small collection. When you do an agency like mine, you have lots of projects running all the time, so you end up meeting lots of people. Now, I remember sitting when I was younger and looking at client lists and go, but how the hell how does that even work? How does that happen? There's no rocket science to it, right? When I left my job, I had one client at Scottish Renewables who said, Andrew, I would like you to rebrand us because I like your work. Okay, so I rebranded them. Someone in there seemed to like me, and they passed my name to someone else in another company, so I went over there and I rebranded them. Someone over there passed me over, and so on and so forth. And as I say, by being a nice person, the work you should do should be good. If you're in a business where your work's not good, well, And slowly but surely, this picture grows. And then the better and bigger the names and, the more respect you get, the more confidence you give other people. So this stuff happens. Don't worry about that bit again. So then we built up this audience, we've got all these people following us, and we're doing giveaways online. And again, I wasn't thinking about trying to make any business out of this. I was just literally going like, I've got all these followers who might never buy our product or service, but they kind of want a piece of MadeBrave. So we started giving away these moleskin books and t-shirts and things. People started emailing us saying, can we buy them? And then we were like, all right, okay. So we set another brand up called MadeBrave Originals, where we sell our own merchandising now. And again, I wasn't thinking about that's going to appear. So I'm quite excited to see what does the next thing come, because these things can happen organically. Well, there we go. Right, so what I thought today was I would tell you a little bit about how I've created my brand, but like, we hear the word brand so much these days, right? It's everywhere, and everyone's talking about it. And, I hear lots of different people coming to me, and everyone's got kind of a different idea on what brand is. So I thought I'd maybe talk you through a bit about what I've done with MadeBrave's brand and what branding means to us, and maybe there's something you can take away. So when we think about brands, you might come into your head like some of these names or some of these logos. But that is not brand, right? Or that's a small part of brand. The logo on a brand is that's a little part of it, right? For me, a brand is not a logo, and a lot of you'll know this, right? But it's not an identity, right? It's not all the sort of aspects of it. It's not the product you have or the service that you sell. A brand basically is, that's gone massive. That wasn't massive on my slide, or something's happened there. Is this thing that humanizes your business so that people connect with it, right? So what does that mean? So it's kind of like a person, right? Is a brand has a tone of voice. So much like I have a tone of voice, how do I sound today, right? That's part of my brand, but also like with your own brands or own personal brands, how do you sound and how do you come across to people? Purpose, right? Why do I get out of my bed? Why am I on stage today? Like, it's not all about money, right? Sometimes, people have a purpose in life and people go and do things for different things. And, brands need to have a purpose. Like, some of the best brands, I'll show you an example in a minute. You need to figure out what that why or that purpose is. Personality, is your brand funny? Is it stupid? Is it silly? Is it serious? What is that? And then style. What are you wearing? That's all the visual parts of your brand. And then last of all, like, you have a face. That's how people remember you. And think of that as like the logo, right? That's the face, okay? And they remember all these different parts. Now this guy, if you've not heard of him, he's got the same mic as me, as you can see. Simon Sinek, right? So he's got a brilliant TED Talk. It's 18 minutes long. Watch it tonight. It'll be the best 18 minutes of your day, apart from this 18 minutes. And he has this thing here, right? I'm a huge fanboy of Simon Sinek, right? And he calls this the golden circle. And he says, look, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right? And, when we think about that, when we put that in perspective, right? So there's 100 other agencies, 1,000 other agencies in Scotland. Why are people coming to MadeBrave? Why is MadeBrave growing? Why am I getting all these customers and things happening? And what he says is, right, is that, a lot of businesses, they know what they do, right? And a lot of businesses communicate this way. So they say, right, we're a branding agency, we're a design agency. How do we do it? They say, well, we're kind of better than them, or faster than them, or a little bit cheaper, a little bit more expensive, whatever it may be. Not many people can tell you why do they do it, right? And they don't communicate that why, right? They leave it at those two bits, and it's not hugely inspiring. So to give you an example, right, and this is Simon, this is not my example, this is his example. He says, if Apple, right, why do we all go to Apple and buy stuff, right? He said, so if they communicated with just what and how, right, they would say, we're Apple, we make great computers, they're user-friendly, they're beautifully designed and easy to use. Want to buy one? You built that? No, not really. That's quite uninspiring, right? But what Apple do, and why they've been very clever, right, they go, with everything we do, we aim to challenge the status quo, right? So that's our why. We aim to think differently. Our products are user-friendly, they're beautifully designed, and they're easy to use, and we just happen to make computers. Want to buy one? Right, I want to buy one. I want to buy 10, and I want to buy a watch, I want to buy anything that's going at Apple, right? And that's why we all do it, and that's why we want to walk down the street holding our Apple bag, right? We don't want to walk down the street holding a Dell bag, do we? No, and Dell, they're doing the exact same stuff as what Apple are doing. Exact same stuff, right? They're selling computers, and they do the same things. But we all pretend that Apple are doing something amazing. It's just the same thing, but we're buying into what they're about, because we all like to think we're individual, we're thinking differently, we're doing things differently. So we're subscribing to their tribe, if you like, right? So we need to think about, for our own brands, or even if you're just like your individual brand, like, why is that? Why should people buy from you? Why should people follow you? So with MadeBrave, right, our why is we exist to inspire creativity in everyone, right? Now, so hopefully one person in here at least today have inspired some sort of creativity. How we do it, we refuse to play it safe, right? So brave, it's in the name, we can kind of get away with most things now because they're called brave, but we're never going to give clients the safe option, right? And we never accept mediocrity. So at the moment, we design, brand, code, and share. Now that will change, and that's why when you're thinking about your own businesses and brands, it's sometimes a good idea not to put what you do in the brand or mark, because we want it to allow us to sort of flow, and we just happen to have an awesome time doing it. So that's why when we do a team photo like this is staff members of mine, it should start to emote those feelings. So it should emote like, well, that's a bit brave, that's a bit different, that's, it's not mediocre. And then when you look at everything else you communicate as a brand, it should start to like sing all these things. So, you know, all these photos, this is some social media content from us, this is our studio up here. It should all start to feel like MadeBrave, feel like that statement without even seeing the brand mark on it. So there's our office dog there. You know, these are all staff members. This is an average first day photograph at my agency. There's me and baby Richard Branson there. And like, it's about, you know, deciding what your thing is and then not being scared to be it, you know. But if I was doing all this and then you turned up at my studio and it wasn't like that, it was a beige box, then we'd all think, well, it's not right. So you've got to make sure that you're consistent across everything. This is Hannah, my PA. You know, like this is a typical job advert for us. Like, so we'll do things very differently, and we're not afraid to do so. And yeah, I mean, as I say, these are all staff members, and the only way you get these guys to buy in and be like this is like, it's a kind of lot of work in the background of doing all this, but being true to it. So that's the office DeLorean, which is very good for timekeeping. I don't know, somehow I get paid to do this stuff. And this is our studio, you know, so, you know, we've grown very rapidly to where we are, and I could have taken all that money and bought loads of stuff, bought a boat or something, right? But I didn't. What I did was, well, I want to put it all back into the business, and I want that business to be a great place to be. So as I say, like, this is a stepped up from that first studio I showed you, but it's a really, really nice place to be because, like, I want to attract the best talent into my business. I want to sit in a nice environment, and as I said before, if you put people in a nice environment and look after them, they generally do cool things. So you can see the guitar on the wall looks a little bit smaller now, but it's still there. What else we got? So yeah, and you know, by doing these things and looking after people, this is how you get them to stand in their pants and take team photos. So this is another sort of standard team photo for us, the helicopter one. I didn't bring the helicopter today. And that's my wee boy now, that's Finlay, so he's kind of grown up through the stages of MadeBrave. And, you know, I wanted to talk a bit about, like, people always think today, you know, we're all like, we've got to all be on social media and we're all got to be doing stuff and saying things about our businesses or ourselves. How do we do that? Now, most design agencies, they think, oh God, right, I sell design, I better just put pictures of things that I've designed for people up, right? Now there's a place for that, but a good example I use, if we think about Nike, right? If you went onto Nike's social media, they don't just put a picture of a trainer, and then another picture of a trainer, then a picture of some, you know, a t-shirt, you know, and so on and so forth, because that'd be really dry and boring, right? And I wouldn't tell you anything about them. So what Nike do on social media is they tell you what you can do in trainers, right? You can run the fastest you've ever ran, you can be the best you've ever been, you can climb a mountain, you can jump off a mountain, whatever it may be. So when it comes to what you guys are doing on social media for your own things, think about that angle, right? Try and create like something that people are going to be attracted to. So for us at MadeBrave, it's rarely pictures of design. Everything we put up has been designed well, so we're showing that we're good at it. But for this example, we were up for Best New Business of the Year at the Scottish Business Awards, and Richard Branson was presenting it, and there was a huge amount of noise on social media, and I thought, how the hell are we going to cut through all this and get some attention out of it? So I said, right, let's Photoshop Richard Branson's head on my wee boy. And everyone's like, oh, you can't do that. No, don't do that. We'll get in trouble. The advertising police will come and get us, and Virgin Media will sue us. And I thought, well, let's just give it a bash and see. So we put it out. We're off to the Scottish Business Awards with Sir Richard Branson. We tagged them in it, which is very important. So then their social media team are alerted of it. Remember, the people behind these pages are people. So if you can do something to get their attention, well, they want to look good for their boss or someone or something, or they've got some sort of agenda. So we tag them in it, their team suddenly talking about it. We're on track to win New Business of the Year, so we're getting our positive news story over. And just like us, Richard is ecstatic. So we got our humour in there, we get what we're about. And, you know, it took an hour to do, probably. Virgin Media reply, oh, Andrew, they grow up so fast, they're not small and innocent forever. And 58,000 people saw that. right? So, and then on the night, people were coming up and saying, I saw your tweet, that was good, you know? So, you know, think a wee bit differently about how you use these tools. They're there, and if you just do the same as everyone else, you get the same results as everyone else. Another good one was for Burns Day. You know, I'm Scottish, you're all Scottish, or majority will be Scottish, and we kind of know what Scottish people think is funny. Like the word jobby is usually quite funny, right? You usually get a wee giggle, right? So on Burns Day, I was like, let's put stuff you never knew about Haggis, right? Because we're trying to get my name. My customers are generally in Scotland, so let's get something so the MadeBrave name is about. So we took like a warthog and a mouse and photoshopped them together. Again, probably took about 20 minutes, and just shouted out in the office, everyone named some random things about Haggis, and we made them up. So like, they can only do a jobby lying on their back, they giggle when stroked in their belly, and we didn't put any money on this, we didn't boost it, we didn't pay anything, and organically, 3,225 people shared it. And that was last year, and then it got reshared again this year. So these numbers are probably different now. But on that one weekend, we had 217,000 people viewing it. Now, you could go and pay £100,000 for an outdoor campaign to get those kind of numbers, or you could spend an hour and do something that you know that your target people of your market are going to share. So again, just trying to think a wee bit differently about how we do things and promote. We've also got like a Segway in the office, like we got one of them really early, and people go, oh, but why are you putting videos of that up online? Well, we're trying to attract human beings. Human beings are customers at the end of the day. So, we're trying to, when you do things, again, just think differently how you do it. There's 25,000 people have seen that, and then people come to our office just because they want a shot in it now, which is cool. But you've got to also be thinking about, like, so for us as an agency, you can't just do all that fun stuff, right? You've got to have the good work. The good work's got to be backing it up, but that should be a given. But what we also do, and what's very important, even for yourself, if you're looking for jobs or trying to create a business, is like put your knowledge out there, right? So blog, show people what you're about, and do not be scared to give everything away. There's so many people who think, I can't tell that because then I'll get no business and no one will, everyone will steal my ideas and they'll carbon copy the whole of MadeBrave, and that'll be it. We give everything away, and I'll tell anyone anything. It's very much harder to go and copy what I'm doing than to do it yourself. So what tends to happen, if you put out all your knowledge, people are attracted to that and they learn from it, and they kind of go, oh God, that looks quite hard. I'll pay them to go and do it for me. They look like they know what they're doing. And if you're thinking about like trying to get a job or whatever, put out content as well. Like show people what you're passionate about. The market, like design agency, tech agency, it's a crowded market these days. And if you want good jobs and you want to work with the right companies, show people that you're passionate about that. And people, when I first started doing all this stuff, were like, why are you doing that? Well, this is why I'm doing it, because we've now got 30,000 people following us online. And, those numbers are only growing, and, this can give you like a great, community of people who can actually do your business development for you. So as a business now, I did an internal survey recently going like, we ask every customer, where do they come from us? And pretty much about 80% say, yeah, I follow you on Facebook, or my friend follows you on Instagram, and I followed you, and then that's how they've ended up here. So again, that's like amazing how the change in how business development is done these days. So obviously to produce all the content takes time and effort, but like generally, when you put time and effort into things, they reap some sort of reward. And then what else does this do for me, right, as a business is, well, now when I put a job up for a designer, we get all sorts of weird and wacky applications, right? Because we've shown what we're about as a brand, so we're trying to attract people who get that mindset. So recently we had like the Mad Hatter there, arrived at our office, like literally dressed like that, and he was carrying a bottle with a CV in it for his wife. We all thought it was a serial killer. But that, that happened. We took a picture of it, put it on our blog, and suddenly it got picked up by all the papers. So again, the littlest things you don't think are going to turn into something big things happen. A 2-year-old turned up, like literally the door swung open, and there was like, hello, this little girl holding this box. And we'd themed our job application about Toy Story. So she brought in this wee box with Andy's room, marks off for not doing the backwards N like Toy Story. But inside was like a wee Mr. Potato Head and, meet the new MadeBrave Picasso. And we've had tons of other ones, like we had a can of beans sent to us the other day, we've had jigsaws, this Nutella, this was like a huge box full of Nutella, and you peel off the label and it was all, like the ingredients were stuff about the person. Passports, packet of fags, and you kind of unrolled them all. And constantly stuff like boxes of balloons and all sorts of things. So we've created a wee thing there that's pretty cool that means, you know, people, rather than me having to hunt down talent, talent's coming to us. So a few takeaways is, you know, for your own thing is like, start with why, you know, the how and the what will come easier. So why are you doing something? If you're going to set up a business, you know, why am I doing it? You know, and nail that early on. If you can nail that quickly, you're kind of going to move forward better. Create a great environment, and whether it's just yourself, if you're going to work for yourself, make it inspiring, create a nice environment from other people. Don't hire negative people. I've had some negative people in my business, they're horrible. And if your friends are negative and you're surrounded by people that say you can't do that, find new friends, because there's a lot of really positive people, and Scotland gets a bad rap for being like negative and moaning about the rain and all that. There's a lot of positive people here as well, so be positive and think that way. And you know, I was over in Silicon Valley last week, and I was visiting probably every business that you would ever want to visit. I visited Twitter, Facebook, Dropbox, Unity, Pixar, about another 5 businesses or so. And the amazing thing I learned out there is the people over there are no different than the people here. We've got some of the best talent and the best people in the world, right? They've just got bigger boxes over there. That's what it is, right? There's lots of opportunity in here, and it pains me when I see our talent in Scotland heading down to London or heading over to America, because you know the great thing about Scotland is, right? And I was thinking about this because. See, you know, in 4 years I've grown a business, and I can now get access to kind of probably, you know, top people and top businesses in Scotland within that short space of time. If you imagine if you're in America, right, to get to the top tier of America and create influence is very, very difficult. So we've got great opportunity because we're small in Scotland, because you could probably get the most influential people in the room in Scotland together pretty quickly. And that's a really powerful thing, and that's probably why we've gone on to invent so much in the world. And so I would encourage you, like, if you're studying something and you're thinking about starting a business, start it here, because there's like, you know, lots of opportunity you wouldn't get elsewhere. I kind of went into rambling there. Don't be a negative Norman. So, you know, I found myself when I'm now leading a business, and I've had to learn a lot. And, you know, with running a business that turns over £1 million, there's quite a lot of pressure on your shoulders. Like, I think to break even now every month, I've got to find 80 grand every month. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I find that? And see, when you let that get to you and you get negative and down, that spreads amongst everyone else, right? But remember, 4 years ago, I didn't know anything about business, and I figured all that out. And just, you know, you've just got to try and be positive and make sure if you've struggled with stuff, talk to people about it. Find people that can help you. Don't turn in this negative thing, because it spirals for everyone. And then lastly, be a human being. So if we want to succeed at business, or we want to succeed in our jobs that we're doing, talk to people, be nice to people, and generally they recommend you on to places and do things, okay? So, I think that's maybe me. So lastly, all I would ask is, if you don't follow us on Instagram or Facebook or any of these things, give us a wee ad. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to take questions just now. I think we've got about 10 minutes. I don't know what time we're on, actually, for questions. If there's anything you don't want to put your hand up today and do, you can tweet me or email me or any of these things, and later on I will also do it, but I'm happy to take questions just now.